Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Onyx Tavern. This is your host, the Barkeep, bringing you podcast 31 here at the Tavern, presented by HeroTaku.com. Well, guys, I finally got a chance to watch Brave 34 of Kyoryuger. The sub finally was available for me. So I watched that today, and, it was a great episode. I had a lot of fun with it. The revelation of Brigigus, the fact that there are still some mysteries left in the series, the action was great, the backstory was great, which is where I want to go ahead and start tonight. I don't want to give a review of the episode, essentially, but I want to talk about the backstory about the Guardian Zords, or the Guardian Beasts, or whatever they're called specifically in the series, but I believe they are just the Guardians. So when the series first came out, it was made known to us that there were a total of about 23 Beast batteries. Now that excludes like the Carnival, the movie exclusives, and things like that. But the idea there were 23 batteries dedicated to specific dinosaurs. Now the original thought, that at least I had when the series came out, was that each battery was going to be for a different Zord. And then we would have a total of 23 Zords altogether, which is probably one of the highest numbers we've had probably since Wild Force, or Gala Ranger. What it turned out, however, is that only the first 10 batteries were going to actually be Zords. So all the Core Ranger Zords, the Spirit Rangers and Silver Ranger and all that. But the other Beast batteries, 13 of them, numbers 11 through 23, would actually be used for weapons as opposed to Zords, or at least different kinds of attacks. For example, Beast Battery number 20, which I can't even pronounce its name, is used to make the enemies dizzy when they go ahead and use it. And Beast Battery number 21 is able to make things heavy to increase the gravity for a short time in a certain area. Now, when I first thought about this, I was like, it's kind of a cop-out. You have all these batteries. You're not going to make all these toys. And it just kind of bugged me in that regard. But, as the series went on, it kind of bothered me less and less because I started to look at the batteries more as tools than anything, that they did not necessarily have to be associated with an actual Zord to be interesting or even useful. As we went along in the series, of course, we found more Beast batteries, and what they started to do with the trend was that each Beast battery was going to power up a Ranger. We got with Cyan, then Gold, and so forth, and I almost kind of thought for a while that, hey, maybe these Beast batteries will have Rangers. Maybe they don't have Zords, but they would have Ranger forms. That was not the case either, and it seems unlikely that that would be the case moving forward. But today's episode really kind of sheds some light on the story aspects of the Beast batteries. Not so much the decisions that were made, but as much as this is the reason in the story why the Beast batteries are this way. So what it seems, according to Torin's backstory, is that all 23 Zords basically battled against the Debosses, Master, and another monster they resurrected. Kind of looked like a castle thing. I can't remember the names at the moment, and even if I did, I wouldn't be able to go ahead and pronounce them. So bear with me, please. But this monster basically destroyed Zords 11 through 23. Brigigus cried amber tears, which basically preserved their spirits, I guess, their essence, fossilized them. And of course, that those fossils were what the Rangers were chasing pretty much through the latter half of the season thus far, and that they were used to activate Brigigus again. Now, here are the interesting things from that. First let's start with the fact that Brigigus, he has a personality in this, and as I said in my previous video about sentient Zords, I like that they have defined personalities and that they can talk and do something. It's not necessarily the case here, but we get motivation from a Zord. We have feelings and all that, which I think is very interesting. Also, the Brigagus is powered by batteries 11 through 23, and he can obtain any of those powers and use them in battle, which is really cool. But the most interesting thing of all is actually if you watch the episode, it's there for like a split second, but the evil castle robot is destroying Zords 11 through 23. They actually appear in the episode as Zords. Now, what you're seeing on your screen right now is the only images of that. They only basically did 3. The others you couldn't see, but it was assumed that they were destroyed. Now, what this tells me in the context of the story is that in the beginning, when Tauren rebelled against his brother, when these Zords were around and created, before the Guardians were the Guardians that they are now, they were full-fledged Zords, just like all the others, like Brigagus, like Gabaracho, or again, however you pronounce it, that they were indeed Zords that could combine with each other. I mean, look at the picture right now. You can obviously tell that they're recolors of different Zords. The yellow one, which I believe is to represent Beast Battery 11, is obviously recolor of the Raptor, the Green Raptor Zord. But the way it's designed, you can tell it was meant to connect to the other Zords to be a weapon. We don't know what its tail is, if it was a blade weapon, a gun, whatever. So, again, it's really cool to think that these were actual Zords that could produce Rangers, but because they were destroyed and turned into fragments, they could only use a fragment of that power to shoot gravity lasers, summon motorcycles, make clones, things of that particular nature. And I just think that is so fascinating that's where we are now. I mean, that's the reason why the batteries do this, is because they were destroyed. So they can't form Rangers, they can't form Zords, but they still have a little bit of power left that Brigagus was able to go ahead and save. And I just imagine, wow, wouldn't it be cool if, again, all the batteries were represented by Rangers and Zords? We have a count of 23 Rangers, which I know probably sounds ridiculous, but if you think about it, at one time, there were meant to be 23 Kyoryugers. But because of the Debus army, they couldn't have 23. They couldn't have 23 Zords, and now we are where we are now. We're stuck with 10 Rangers. We're not going to have that total number. But the biggest loss, of course, is that we don't have all these Zords. I'm sure they probably didn't think it all the way through as far as the producers and the writers and so forth. And of course, Bandai didn't think it through to make the toys. But how awesome would that be? Because we would at least get an explanation. I mean, we have an explanation why there's no Yellow Ranger. Because her Zord was destroyed, or his Zord, however you want to go ahead and look at it. But if it wasn't, then we could have had a Yellow Raptor Zord, or again, I don't know what the actual dinosaur that it is based off on. But still, I mean, I just think that is so cool. That is so awesome. And I wonder, why didn't they go this route? Again, the images that you're seeing here are just recolors and modifications on existing Zords that we've already seen in the series. So this was probably a last-minute thing that the designers had to come up with. But wouldn't it be cool if that was the original intention? That, again, even if all the Zords were repaints and all that, I mean, it's essentially what we have now. I mean, the difference between Enchilodon and Drysera is, I mean, it's the same type of mold, it's just the back and the head look different, and the weapon on the tail is different. It's the same thing, just modeled differently. So we could have gotten easily, 13 more Zords out of this. And we could have had so many Megazord combinations, and what I think it would have led to would have been more Rangers. Granted, they probably wouldn't have any personalities or wouldn't be that interesting, but could you just imagine 23 dinosaur-themed Power Rangers all fighting alongside each other in 23 of their Zords? I doubt they would all hook up to a Megazord, but man, that would be something, wouldn't it? I just think of the missed opportunities they could have had. I mean, Kyoryuger is more than half over at the moment. They probably made good decisions thus far with the story. I have to wait till everything's done to make any judgment on the series. But the whole idea that this is the reason why, I love the explanation. It makes sense. Am I satisfied with it? not really, because again, I want to see more Rangers and Zords, because that's what I thought we were going to go ahead and get. But nonetheless, it is just interesting that they even did this. And I would like to see maybe, they come up with an exclusive Zord or something like that. Because you can see like the one in the middle, I believe that's the fire-breathing one. If they came up with that as an exclusive maybe a year from now or the next crossover movie or just something cool and they have like another Ranger, which, by the way, the whole false Ranger in the movie thing, which I have not seen the movie, unfortunately. They haven't come up with a dub of it yet, or a sub, excuse me. That just seems pointless when you think about it in context of, well, we had 13 other potential Zords, but we decided not to go ahead and use them. We decided to go ahead and do this. So yeah, it's just, again, a really cool thing that they did. And I wonder if they did think any of this through. I mean, who knows and all that, but I mean, we got the explanation for it. And I do like the powers that the Guardians have, and I like what they're able to go ahead and do because it does help the Rangers think in strategic terms. But I just kind of wish there was more to it. I mean, we know the Dino Grazer gives them like the little claw hand armor that the Black Ranger has used, and I think the Red Ranger has used it once as well. But I want to see have Battery 21, which is the sea turtle, become armor for somebody. Have Beast number 19 become like battle wings, so that it allows them to fly and all that. That's kind of what I'm disappointed on, is that they haven't really utilized this, that they're able to, again, each battery has a specific power and something it can go ahead and do, but I like the idea that they could be used, again, as Zords, as Rangers, or even armor upgrades. And so far, summoning a motorcycle isn't that impressive compared to other things they can go ahead and do. And I have to admit, the farting for the Zords, that's not impressive either. Some of them are useless, like the Car Ranger powers or the greater power of the Car Ranger and Go Kiger. But some of them are very helpful. Again, the gravity thing is helpful. The fire breathing is helpful. The clone thing is especially helpful. But yeah, so that's just kind of my general thoughts on it. I wanted to kind of tell you guys and get that out there. Because, again, it really addressed an issue that I had with the series, with the idea of the Rangers. And, again, this is where we can point to as to why we don't have a Yellow Ranger. So don't blame the key users, blame the Dibos that they could have easily destroyed the Green Ranger Zord and we would have had no Raptor, but it's in its place we would have had a Yellow Ranger. So think about that. Just think about that for a little bit and see how you feel about the Yellow Ranger. Well, in any case, I want to thank you guys for listening. I apologize for being a little short tonight, but again, just give my feelings about the batteries and the Guardians. I definitely want to know what everybody else thinks about it. Do you guys think that the batteries are a good idea as far as what they're doing with them? Would it be cool, again, if they could actually manifest as Rangers, maybe in the future, maybe in a future crossover movie? We'll see how that goes. Or should these Zords maybe reappear in the finale, even if it's a brief cameo? Have, again, 23 Zords battling. That would be real awesome. But we'll see how it goes. Well, guys, thank you for listening to my rambling tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. But if you have any questions or concerns, again, please leave in the comments. I'm always willing to listen to what you guys have to say. Otherwise, you guys have yourself a good night, and the tavern is now closed.